First bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Modi and US President Joe Biden. These are talks that were held right before that all-crucial Quad summit. Back home, meanwhile, Sensex scales up to 60,000 mark. And this, as the BSE chief says, this is not the end story. This is just the beginning of seeing more than 1 lakh investors in BSE daily. A 12-year-old boy also killed in Assam, police firing. The photographer whose video went viral has been arrested. Questions have now begun over the police role amidst all of this, while the Assam chief minister says this is a bit to target Assam. For the Congress party, meanwhile, after Punjab, its mission Rajasthan, Rahul and Priyanka meet with Sachin Pilot. This as the newly elected Punjab Chief Minister is back in the capital and discussions for cabinet are on. It was not gangs of Wasipur but gangs of Delhi at the court complex in Rohini, the national capital. The police opened fire, kill all 3 amid chaos, and this as the CGI has expressed concern over security arrangements at the court. Thane horror, 33 rapist, 15-year-olds trauma has come out. The students, dropouts, daily wagers arrested. Maharashtra schools set to reopen finally. Schools to open on the 4th of October. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. It's going to be a long night for everybody who's watching very carefully, step by step, developments coming in from Washington, D.C., where Prime Minister Modi is there and he has already met with US President Joe Biden at the White House. This is the first in-person meeting between the two leaders after Mr. Biden became the president in January. This bilateral summit is important. We are meeting at the start of the 3rd decade of the century. Your leadership will certainly play an important role in how this decade is shaped, and the seeds have been sown for an even stronger friendship between India and United States. That's what Prime Minister said, setting the tone of that meeting as well. In response, Mr. Biden said that relations between India and US are destined to be stronger. We should explore what more we can do to fight COVID-19, climate change, and work for a safer Indo-Pacific region as well, upholding democratic values, joint commitment to diversity, respect for non-violence and tolerance are more relevant today than ever. Those important lines coming in by Joe Biden. We've got the highlights for you.
राष्ट्रपति जी, सबसे पहले तो मैं मैत्रीपूर्ण और गर्मजोशी भरा हम सबका भारतीय डेलीगेशन का स्वागत करने के लिए मैं आपका हृदय से बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। भारत अमेरिका के संबंधों में आपका जो विजन है, जिसको आपने शब्दबद्ध किया था, वो वाकई बहुत ही प्रेरक था। और आज आप राष्ट्रपति के रूप में उस विजन को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए जो पुरुषार्थ कर रहे हैं, प्रयास कर रहे हैं, इनिशिएटिव ले रहे हैं, इसका मैं स्वागत। भारत और अमेरिका के बीच ट्रेड का अपना महत्व है और इस दशक में ट्रेड के क्षेत्र में भी हम एक दूसरे को काफी पूरक हो सकते हैं। बहुत सी चीजें हैं जो अमेरिका पास है, जो भारत को जरूरत है। बहुत सी चीजें भारत के पास है जो अमेरिका के काम आ सकती हैं। तो ट्रेड भी इस दशक का एक बहुत बड़ा क्षेत्र रहेगा। आज की हमारी ये बायलैटरल समिट, लेकिन मैं देख रहा हूं कि ये दशक 21वीं शताब्दी के तीसरे दशक का ये पहला वर्ष, मैं पूरे दशक की तरफ देख रहा हूं कि आपके नेतृत्व में जो बीज हम बोएंगे, इस पूरा दशक हमारी दृष्टि से बहुत ही भारत और अमेरिका के संबंध में विश्व के लोकतांत्रिक देशों के लिए एक बहुत ही ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव ये कालखंड रहेगा, ऐसा मेरा विश्वास है।
I think that the relationship between India and the United States, the largest democracies in the world, is destined to be stronger, closer, and tighter, and I think it can benefit the whole world. And taking on some of the toughest challenges we face together, starting with a shared commitment to ending the COVID pandemic, rooted in our shared responsibility to uphold democratic values, our joint commitment to diversity, and it's about family ties, including 4 million. As the world celebrates Mahatma Gandhi's birthday next week, we're all reminded that this message of non-violence, respect, tolerance matters today maybe more than it ever has. And so I'm looking forward to my discussions with the Prime Minister. Thank you.
All right, so we'll keep you posted on all the details coming in from Washington, D.C. All those very important, carefully crafted words being used by the heads there. Meanwhile, back home, Sensex crossed the 60,000 mark for the very first time. The 30-share BSE index climbed the last 10,000 points at a record pace. It took just about 8 months for the Sensex to jump from 50,000 to 60,000. And that is what was also picked up by the BSE CEO. He had an exclusive chat with NDTV and said that in May 2019, he had said that we should be able to reach 60,000 in the next 5 years, but it's happened in just 2.5.
Celebrations at the Bombay Stock Exchange as the Sensex crossed 60,000 and closed above it. The last 10,000 points have been remarkable because not only is it the fastest 10,000 points, taking just 8 months, but it happened in a year India was devastated by the second COVID wave. In fact, since the beginning of the pandemic, when it crashed to a low of 25,981, the Sensex has jumped over 130%. Some of the key drivers for this rapid rally to 60,000 points are expectations of a solid economic recovery in India, China's crackdown on its own top businesses, and a massive participation by small-scale retail investors, even from smaller towns of India, apart from the dovish stand announced by the US Central Bank.
If you look at the projections by 2030, we should become the third largest economy in the world. The COVID has actually accelerated many of these trends.
While some experts are cheering the momentum of the market, others say watch out for warning signs.
While the sentiments remain extremely positive, there are enough global cues suggesting, such as that of the Evergrande crisis in China, US inflation tapering off.
The Sensex closed above 60,000 as the bulls dominated the market and as they hedged their bets on quick economic recovery and activity resuming post-COVID. That trend is likely to continue. In Mumbai with camera person Praveen G. Rohit, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
Heard about gangs of Wasipur? Well, hear about gangs of Delhi now. And this is no fiction. This is what truly happened at a Rohini court in the national capital. 3 gangsters were killed in a shootout inside the courtroom in Delhi and left several people injured as well. Raised serious concerns and questions at this point of the security deployment at the court. The gunmen were dressed as lawyers and present in the court and shot the gangster. It's said to be a gang war that actually took place there. Now, concerns have been raised to the level of not just the Delhi police chief, but even the CGI. Let's tell you what he has said now. He has expressed concern over the Delhi court shooting. And speaking about the matter, he said we must ensure functioning of the court is not affected, but this entire issue is concerning. Let's look at what happened.
As gunfire began, lawyers, litigants and others scurried for shelter. While notorious gangster Jitendra Gogi was shot dead by 2 men of rival gang, the 2 assailants were killed in the counter-firing by the Delhi police. 3 gangsters were killed in a shootout, that too inside the courtroom in India's capital, in broad daylight, while the judge was present, raising questions on law and order which is directly controlled by the central government. Gogi, a 30-year-old with over 24 cases against him, including murder and kidnapping, was arrested last year. When he was brought to the Rohini court in North Delhi for a court hearing, 2 men from the rival Tillu gang, identified as Rahul and Morris, were waiting inside the courtroom disguised as lawyers. They shot him 6 times.
गोगी की हेयरिंग थी, उसी दौरान हुआ था। जज साहब भी मौजूद थे, स्टाफ भी मौजूद था और बाकी 2, 4, 5 वकील भी भाई मौजूद थे। जो वकील आए हुए थे ड्रेस में, वकील की ड्रेस में आए हुए थे, वो वकील नहीं थे पेशे से, वो गैंगस्टर ही थे, वकील की ड्रेस में आए हुए थे। उन्होंने 3 गोलियां लगातार गोगी को मारी हैं।
The Delhi police personnel accompanying Gogi opened fire, killing both the attackers on the spot.
आज जितेंद्र गोगी को कोर्ट में प्रोड्यूस किया गया था और चूंकि पहले कुछ गैंगस्टर्स कस्टडी से भाग चुके हैं तो हम लोग एक्स्ट्रा प्रिकॉशन लेते हैं, उसी के तहत प्रॉपर पुलिस बंदोबस्त के साथ उनको प्रोड्यूस किया गया था। लेकिन वकीलों की ड्रेस में 2 लोग आके इनके अगेंस्ट में इनके ऊपर फायरिंग की, जिसकी वजह से जितेंद्र गोगी की डेथ हुई। ये कोर्ट प्रेमाइसेस में हुआ था। जहाँ तक सिक्योरिटी लैब्स का सवाल है वो अब हम लोग देखेंगे कि कहाँ पे खामी रही है।
This is the 4th incident of shooting in the Rohini court in the last 5 years. The gangsters knew the security loopholes here very well. They walked through the gates where there was no metal detector. They dressed up as lawyers to raise no suspicion, and then they shot dead an under trial prisoner right inside the courtroom. With camera person Pawan Kumar, this is Arvind Gunasekar for NDTV.
To Assam now, where 2 people were killed, at least 15 others injured, including policemen, when police opened fire at an eviction drive in the Darang district. Now, locals in the area say that all they really wanted was a new place to settle and some time to move. But allegedly, the government was in a mood to rush things up. That's one side of the story. The government, of course, says the other.
In Gorukhuti and Dholpur near Sipajhar of Assam's Darang district, about 3 hours west of Guwahati, the stunned family of 30-year-old Moinul Haq. The viral images of his death and brutalization shocked India. Haq was the father of 3 children. His family eked out a living by growing vegetables in a patch of land. It was when the government came to evict them from the land, claiming it was not theirs. The family claims that after they were evicted on Monday, he was very upset and ran towards the cops with a stick. Also killed, 12 years old Shak Farid, a student of class 8, caught in the police firing. His family are numb. They say they have settled in this area for 40 years.
पब्लिक कभी नहीं कहता कि ये मेरा जमीन है, ये सरकार की है। पुलिस ने भी पब्लिक को पूरा पिटाई किया, उसके बाद फायरिंग भी किया।
The violence had led to a band in Darang. The opposition Congress has hit the streets.
हिमंत बिश्व शर्मा जी जब से चीफ मिनिस्टर बना है, ये हर मुद्दा में पुलिस को ज्यादा पावर दे के रखा है और पुलिस ने गोली मार के इस हर समस्या का समाधान करने के लिए उसने जो सिद्धांत लिया है।
Pressure is growing on the BJP government to act. The photographer seen in the video, Bijoy Bonia, has been arrested and sent to jail custody for 14 days. But there has been no action against the policeman involved in the shooting. The chief minister has defended them.
10,000 people gherao Assam police, utilize violent mood, then police has to retaliate.
The government claims that they were evicting mostly illegal settlers in order to accommodate Assam's indigenous people, and that when they came to evict, the locals attacked them. But others say the settlers are not encroachers, and that the evictions are yet another example of BJP government's anti-minority agenda.
The BJP government in Assam is evicting Muslims, landless Muslims, from their homes where they're living for the last 50 to 60 years, and they're giving those lands to youths of indigenous community for agriculture purpose.
For now, the eviction drive has been stalled, but the government action will now be under scanner. With Sanjay Chakravarti in Dholpur and Monideepa Banerjee, Ratndeep Chaudhary for NDTV.
After Mission Punjab, it's Mission Rajasthan for the Congress party. Congress leaders Rahul and Priyanka Gandhi met with the Rajasthan leader Sachin Pilot this evening, fueling intense speculation days after leadership change in Punjab as well. Now, this is not the first meeting. In fact, this is the second meeting in less than a week that Sachin Pilot has had with the Gandhis, who reportedly wants to be made the charge to take charge as well. And in fact, we're hearing as of this point that who reportedly could be taking charge of Gujarat ahead of elections in the state next year as well, and the Rajasthan cabinet will be expanded to include several loyalists of Mr. Pilot meanwhile, and all these are permutations and combinations basically to satisfy him that he has delivered, and under his control the party did come to power in that state. But what happens to him next will be a wait and watch game. Meanwhile, in Karnataka, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla addressed a joint session of the assembly there, and the Congress was not happy about it. The party legislators boycotted the address altogether. Here's what happened.
The Lok Sabha Speaker inside the Karnataka assembly. It was not a full house. The Congress says that only the President or the Governor should address a joint session, and they boycotted the speech.
Vidhan Sabha or Vidhan Sabha can't be used for a political angle. So the party has decided to boycott this speaker's conclave. In the history of Karnataka legislature, no such except the President of India and the Governor can come and address both the legislatures.
Lok Sabha Speaker has addressed several assemblies, including Congress-governed state Rajasthan. Congress never believed in democracy.
Former Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa was given an award as Best Legislator by the Lok Sabha Speaker. It was the last day of the legislature session, and the Congress did attend the morning session after arriving on horse-drawn carts to protest rising fuel costs. And the Congress says it will continue with street protests against the ruling party. With DM Kumar, Maya Sharma in Bengaluru for NDTV.
Welcome back. Now, the last lap of campaigning for the Bhawanipur by-polls in West Bengal has begun, and there is an interesting twist to the tale over there because Trinamool's expansion plan and Mamta's gaze in Delhi meant that TMC MP in Goa is planning for an upcoming assembly polls as well, and the big ticket BJP is recruiting part of TMC's game plan. What exactly is happening? Well, there is an AAP and TMC tie-up.
A week to go for the Bhawanipur by-poll, and Mamta Banerjee is keeping her gaze firmly fixed on Delhi. Trinamool is in expansion mode, and after Tripura in the east, it is heading west. MP Derek O'Brien is in Goa planning for next year's assembly polls. Expansion includes big-ticket BJP recruits.
আমরা দলের দরজা বন্ধ করে রেখেছি। যেদিনকে খুলবো ভারতীয় জনতা পার্টি দলটা উঠে যাবে। কোন এমএলএ এমপি বাদ নেই যারা তৃণমূলে ঢুকতে চায়। মমতা বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায় দলের দরজা বন্ধ করে রেখেছে। যেদিনকে খুলবো 3 মাসে দলটা থাকবে না।
BJP wants Bhawanipur, and star campaigners are on the streets. Also watching Calcutta High Court's observations on a PIL on the by-polls.
कोर्ट ने एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण सवाल किया कि आखिरकार यहाँ तो जीता हुआ प्रार्थी था, यहाँ तो जीता हुआ एमएलए था, वैसे में उसको हटा करके दोबारा पैसा खर्चा करके ममता बनर्जी जी को यहाँ पर कैंडिडेट बनाना आखिर क्या सिद्ध करता है?
जहाँ गई वहाँ के नागरिकों ने उनका गुरूर ध्वस्त कर दिया. That a political entity who takes the position of a chief minister irrespective of loss now seeks vote on the basis of religion ate a constitutional crisis.
The Bhawanipur outcome is perhaps foretold, but not a dull moment in the last lap of campaign for the big by-poll of September 30. With G.D. Shankar, Monideepa Banerjee, NDTV.
Over 30 people have been accused of gang raping a 15-year-old girl multiple times over a period of just 9 months near Mumbai, in a case that has left Maharashtra shaken to the core. The girl has named 33 attackers, of which 28 have been arrested. 2 minors have also been detained.
"33 men accused of raping a 15-year-old in Dombivli near Mumbai over the past 9 months. After a complaint by the survivor herself, 29 have been arrested. The police say, according to the statement of the survivor, the main accused and several others were known to her. In her statement, the rape survivor has recollected in detail the number of times she was raped by the accused. On January 29, she was raped for the first time and a video was filmed to blackmail her later. On February 20th, she was taken to a flat where 9 men were present. She remembers 3 raped her after she was drugged and fell unconscious. In March, the victim was taken to different flats, lodges and farmhouses and raped. On May 16th, the victim was taken to a flat where 11 accused were present and she was raped several times. In September, the victim was taken to Navi Mumbai and raped several times. On September 22nd, 5 people again gang raped her, after which she finally revealed the ordeal she had been through to her parents.
Investigation चालू है उस बारे में अभी कुछ बोलना ठीक नहीं रहेगा.
According to police sources, the main accused works for a private firm. He was the one who met the girl through a social media platform. The other accused include dropouts, students and some working in low-paying jobs. The incident was revealed when the survivor's family members found that she was looking perturbed and was continuously receiving phone calls. The girl then revealed to her parents what she was going through, and the entire scale of the sordid events were revealed.
Politics over rising crime against women is at its peak in Maharashtra as many more cases continue to be reported, showing that political noise is hardly any antidote for the elements that are a threat to women's safety. With Saurabh Gupta in Mumbai and Swadesh Malviya and Dhanesh in Dombivli, Sohit Mishra, NDTV.
All right, news coming in from Maharashtra today evening is that schools are finally ready to be reopened there. It is going to start with October. In fact, in rural areas, classes will resume from classes 5th to 12th. In urban areas, classes will reopen from 8th to 12th.
टास्क फोर्स की जो सजेशन थी वो माननीय मुख्यमंत्री महोदय जी के पास ये फाइल भेजी और आज माननीय मुख्यमंत्री महोदय जी के माध्यम से कैबिनेट के माध्यम से इसके लिए निर्णय हो गया है कि 4 अक्टूबर से जो है वो ग्रामीण भाग में 5वीं से लेके 12वीं तक और शहरी भाग में 8वीं से लेके 12वीं तक के जो है वो स्कूल रेगुलर शुरू हो जाएंगे.
Also, the Maharashtra Chief Minister has said that along with schools, all places of worship will also reopen for all the devotees from the first day of Navratri. That's the 7th of October onwards. And they have urged all of them to follow COVID protocols.